Hi. So the next person, it didn't even come as hair, nothing.
Well, at least I have some frickin' hair. I mean, I love you. You look beautiful.
The other half of my suit is coming up on stage. His name is Peter Rettel, and he is one of the
Most handsome, charming,
successful.
keep going.
Most intriguing people I know.
You know, you skinny fucker, you understand me.
I can make it up for you.
Let's just do a community podium.
Thank you very much.
Huh?
Thank you very much.
Well, hello, what do you think? Thank you, that was kind of...
He's more portly than I am.
Rubenesque.
Good. Let's do it again for Peter. That was good.
I think there's a few in here that are going to hear this story before, or that have heard this story before. And I really try not to repeat. But this is for Lauren and Mimi, and I have an assignment, and I'm supposed to refine my gig instead of just being an off-the-cuff numbskull like I usually am. No laughing. So here goes. I was on the mend, but still quite sick. Oh yeah, you know this one. The retching and shitting and delirium from the previous days had settled into something that was more like a light barbiturate buzz, adding sort of a dreaminess to the weird sights and sounds all around me. Weird sights like a legless man pushing himself on a cart and begging in the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. Weird sounds like the calls to prayer echoing through ancient streets where trash fires burn and poor people live cheek to jowl. Just fucking weird, like the big dusty parking lot where buses parked all cattywampus and where people traveled with their livestock. I rode one of those buses along with my travel companion who, having arranged our journey, saved my sick ass. She'd secured dirt cheap fare from Istanbul to Budapest, which was absolutely key on our shoestring budget. She'd even checked with the US Embassy in Istanbul to secure clearance because our route went through then Yugoslavia and the war was on. Our bus was filled mostly with Turkish people and a few chickens, really, and a small contingent of international travelers that gravitated to a spot on the bus. And our travel mates included a father from Tunisia, his son, and his daughter-in-law. An elderly Frenchman curiously traveling with a Saudi woman, and two men from Tunisia. And the shared language in our group was French, and everybody spoke it except me. So once again, my travel buddy was saving my sick ass. And in the time it took to travel from Istanbul to the Turkish and Bulgarian border, our crew got pretty tight. We were chatty, we were having a lovely time. We got to the border, and the good time ended. Turkish soldiers got on the bus to check passports, and they didn't pay much attention to the Americans, my travel buddy and I, or to the Frenchmen. The Saudi companion of the Frenchman did merit a second glance from the Turkish guys, but the Frenchman spoke Turkish, and his insistence got her off the hook. Then the vibe completely changed when the Turkish soldiers turned their attention to the Tunisians. They got all aggressive and postury, and they started demanding fees. In fact, they said an exit fee is required. Fucking nonsense. When do you have to pay to leave a country? But the Tunisians understood the drill, and they ponied up the fee. Then the Turks turned their attention to the Senegalese and ramped up the ugly. shouting, screaming, demanding fees. The Turkish soldiers carried weapons. They didn't, like military weapons. They didn't really threaten with those weapons. They didn't have to. In the wee hours of the morning at a desolate border crossing with corrupt soldiers rousting us, we all knew we were fucked. So the Senegalese ponied up. Then the bus shuddered to life and rumbled across the short distance between Turkish razor wire and Bulgarian razor wire. And Turkish soldiers got on the bus and the whole damn thing repeated. Mostly the same. Americans, you're off the hook. Frenchmen, you're off the hook and you're protecting your Saudi woman. Tunisians, time for you to grease our palms. And palms were reluctantly greased by the Tunisians. The Turks turned their attention to the Senegalese men and went fucking off, screaming, demanding fees. I can't say this is true, but I think that because they were young, because they were dark-skinned, because they were from a place that didn't have the diplomatic reach of the US, there was nothing about the Senegalese men that the Turks that the Bulgarians accepted. So they kicked them off the bus. And our little crew convened an emergency meeting in hushed French. The Frenchmen suggested money was the only thing that was going to get the Senegalese men out of their predicament. So we all discreetly peeled off what little hard currency we could spare, and I was appointed the deliverer. So I scrunched up bills in the palm of my fist and bounded down the aisle of the bus. The bus driver could only shout something, but I was too fast. I was out the door shouting some nonsense back like, hey, I'm just gonna say goodbye to my buddies. And I beelined it right for one of the Senegalese men, holding out my hand to shake only awkwardly with a clutched fist full of cash. And the Senegalese man accepted that clumsy handshake. And I opened my palm as I looked in his face, and acknowledgement glimmered in his eyes. And he scooped his hand up and cupped those bills, and his stoicism faded, and tears started streaming down his cheeks. I had just seen him endure abuse like he understood it well. Now I could see that he hadn't hardened his heart to kindness. Now the bus driver's really screaming at me, so I run across the tarmac, hop on the bus, and hustle down the aisle to my seat. And I look across my buddy out the window, and I can see the Senegalese men in silhouette with Klieg lights behind them. Further behind them, I can see the silhouettes of Turkish soldiers, the cherries of their cigarettes glowing. And then a belch of smoke from the bus creates rays in those Klieg lights. And the last thing I saw was the silhouette of African men whose fate I will never know.
Woo!